Welcome to Malifaux University. 620. Special Strategy, Trick or Treat. Many nations on Earth don't celebrate Halloween and may not be familiar with it. This holiday falls on October 31st each year and may be rooted in pagan superstitions, but now is a celebration of scary stories, costumes, and candy. Children traditionally dress up in costumes and go door to door through their neighborhoods, shouting "Trick or treat!" to get a few pieces of candy from the residents. And just because we grow up doesn't mean we don't still love candy though, right? To set up this strategy, create three 30mm strategy markers on the center line. One goes on the center point, and the other two go equally between the center point and the end of the center line in both directions. For standard and wedge deployments, that's 9 inches in from the edge, and in corner or flank deployments, it'll be in the center of those table quarters, 9 inches up from the corner and then 9 inches over. Easy printable strategy markers are available from the link to Wargames Vault in the notes below. These strategy markers are height 5, blocking, and impassable. Impassable means models cannot move through them unless the model has the incorporeal ability, flight, or something similar. You also cannot overlap the base of a model or other marker with these impassable strategy markers. Height and blocking means that they block line of sight for any model size 5 or shorter, which is all of them, that draws line of sight through the marker. This also creates a shadow of 3 inches around the marker, which provides cover to any model within the shadow when another model can successfully target that model with a projectile attack. Other non-melee ranged attacks are not affected though. Cover adds +1 to the defense trait of the targeted model and imposes a negative modifier on any damage flips resulting from the projectile attack. To complete the setup, you need 4 types of candy. It may be nice for each player to bring 2 types, or maybe just divide up a variety bag. Sort them into 4 piles and number them 1 through 3. The 4th type of candy should be labeled Masters and Henchmen. With the candy in place, number the strategy markers 1 through 3 to correspond with the piles of candy. You can mark the candy and markers any way you want really, with colors, shapes, or even the candy wrappers themselves, as long as each marker is linked to a certain candy in some way or another. You play trick or treat just like a kid on Halloween going door to door. A friendly controlled model in base contact with any strategy marker or with an enemy master or henchman model, which is not necessarily the enemy crew leader, may take the interact action to flip a card which you are not allowed to cheat. Normally you cannot interact when you're engaged by an enemy model, but for this strategy you get to ignore the enemy master's or henchman's engagement range when you target it for this special interact action. If another enemy model is engaging you when you try to interact with a master or henchman, or if any enemy model is engaging you when you try to interact with a strategy marker, that will keep you from taking the interact action as normal. If you get a crow or a tome when you flip the card, it's a trick. The model taking the interact action gains the distracted condition. If it's a ram, a mask, or either joker, it's a treat. Pick one piece of candy that corresponds to that strategy marker and put it on that model's card like a candy token. If the interact action is taken next to a master or henchman, obviously you'll take a candy token from that pile of candy. Remember that models with summon upgrades or tokens cannot interact and don't count for friendly schemes or strategies for the turn they are summoned. If you summon a model near a strategy marker or enemy master or henchman, they won't be able to interact that turn. Since this strategy uses the Gaining Grounds rules though, those summoned models will not be able to interact with the strategy markers in any turn as long as they have their summon upgrades or tokens. They could interact with enemy masters or henchmen though, but just not on the turn they were summoned. At the end of each turn after the first, a crew may discard and eat any number of candy tokens from its models in play. The crew scores 1 victory point if it discarded more different types of candy tokens than it has already scored for this strategy. To score the first victory point, you need only 1 candy token. To score the second victory point, you'd need 2 different candy tokens, and so on. There is no limit to how many candy tokens a model may have at any time, or how often a model may interact to obtain a token. Just remember that a model that is killed loses all the tokens it is carrying at the time, so you might want to spread them out until they can be discarded and eaten at the end of the turn. Regardless of how much candy you eat at the end of each turn, You still cannot earn more than 1 victory point from this strategy per turn. Let's see this in action. A Resurrectionist crew led by Mortimer is playing Trick or Treat with the Dreamer's Nightmare crew. The players have set aside Snickers, Kit Kat, and Starbursts as the 3 candies for the strategy markers, and Peanut Butter Kisses to go with the Masters and Henchmen. Both crews play it pretty safe in turn 2, going for the strategy markers farthest from each other. Rafkin interacts with the marker and flips a 4 of Masks, which gains him the Starburst candy token, while Coppelius flips a 9 of Rams to get the Snickers candy token from the marker nearest him. At the end of the turn, each player eats the candy token and scores the victory point. Since each crew now has 1 victory point from the strategy, they each need to obtain 2 different candy tokens to score the next point. The Nightmare crew works fast to put Teddy and Lord Chompy Bits near these 2 strategy markers. Teddy interacts and flips a crow, which gives him the distracted condition, while Lord Chompy Bits flips a ram and gains the Starburst candy token. Moreover, their 2-inch engagement range and huge bases effectively block the Resurrectionist crew from interacting with the strategy markers. Lord Chompy Bits, in addition to being the Dreamer's totem, is also a henchman, so while Rafkin cannot interact with the strategy marker, he walks around the marker into base contact with Chompy and interacts with him directly. Rafkin flips another mask, getting the Peanut Butter Kiss candy token for Masters and Henchmen. A Gravedigger also runs up to Chompy and does the same, giving the Resurrectionists 2 identical candy tokens for the turn. Coppelius interacts with his marker again and flips the Black Joker, giving the Nightmare crew another unique candy token for this turn. The other Gravedigger dashes over to the Snickers strategy marker, approaching it from the exact opposite direction to avoid Coppelius's line of sight and 1-inch engagement range. The Resurrectionist interacts, flips a ram, and obtains the Snickers candy token. At the end of the turn, the Neverborn discard the Starburst and Snickers candy tokens, while the Resurrectionists discard the Snickers and 1 Peanut Butter Kiss candy token to score the victory point. The Resurrectionists hold on to the other Peanut Butter Kiss candy token for the next turn, so they have to collect only 2 other types of tokens. Let us know in the comments below how your game turns out when you play. That's the special strategy, Trick or Treat. Pick up a printable set of all the markers and tokens you need to play Malifaux in the Wargames Vault. If you haven't already, join our Patreon for early, ad-free access to all new content, and be sure to visit the Malifaux University gift shop for the latest in Malifaux-themed shirts, hoodies, drinkware, and more. Links are in the notes below. And remember, play friendly games, keep it simple, and have fun.